This is me fighting perfectionism right now. I've been staring at the camera for a little while. I've been sitting here in my basement. It's hot. I've seen spiders down here. But it's time to start recording. Because there's a lot of thoughts that are just rolling around in my head right now, telling me that my lighting's not perfect, telling me that I need to learn more about this subject, or telling me that I need to get another haircut. And these are the same thoughts that make me feel like I can't just release a single song until I have a concept album, or I can't make a short film because I know that movies exist, or I can't write an article because I want to write it all into a book. I have this insatiable need to make things as best as they can be and to the fullest format that they can be. I want to improve whatever comes my way, whether it's a food or a dish or a relationship or a design. Nothing ever peaks. And it's a blessing and a curse, because on one hand, I'm never bored, and on the other hand, I never stop thinking. Or on one hand, I constantly have new thoughts to share to people, and then on the other hand, those people have to hear a constant string of new thoughts. There's this unknown quoter who said, "Perfection is the art of never being satisfied." And I tend to be a pretty discontent fellow, because for some reason, average is not a word that I'm okay with, at least when it comes to things that I can control, and especially in the creative realm. I believe that ideas are always one step or one paradigm shift or one plot twist away from something so much greater. And then I struggle because anything cliche just always feels like there's something novel right around the corner, like something that makes a work go from passable to powerful, or from good enough to profound. Ooh, that's hot, that's hot. But the thing about novelty and new ideas is that they don't come easy. Creativity can be hard. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that there will always be a space in the world for new ideas. And yeah, I mean, they might be the evolution of ideas from the people before you, or we're all standing on the shoulders of giants, or there's nothing new under the sun. Yes, that's all true, but then something comes along that surprises us. Those little moments of delight in the unexpected. I think they're out there, and yet they don't come easy. And for me, perfectionism strikes both in the ideation and the execution phase. First, how can I start with the most interesting concept? And then second is the actual development, creating the perfect dialed-in expression of that concept, complete with all of the little subplot twists and clever details to support it. And that's part of why writing for me is so hard. I spend so much mental energy coming up with a novel idea, and then by the time I get to the writing part, I start to fade. Because, surprise, I really don't have infinite energy. I get pretty creatively tired. So I then just start fishing around for the low energy, low capacity versions of creativity that I can muster. And each project is made up of various activities of various energy levels, so why not just shuffle around? And so then I go until I hit a bigger decision that has to be made, like a little fork in the road that to me looks like a major trajectory shift. So I better not move forward until I have fully locked in on a concept. Can I just say it's a lot? And it's something that I've struggled with in various areas of my life. So what about you as I gesture to a camera? This conversation is as much for my own processing as I hope it helps you. And that's something that I'll specifically address in a bit. But for us perfectionists right now, I have 3 big bullet points that I think can help. So first, that's define the goal, which is to say, why are we here? You and I, why am I awkwardly talking to a camera? And why in the heck are you watching? Well, when I think about the answer to that question, I hope that it's community. At least for me. Maybe you saw a title and thought, hey, that's the type of thing that I want to learn to fight too. Or maybe you saw my face in the thumbnail and thought, wow, I need to know where that guy gets his haircut. I don't know what it is, but there was something in you that resonated, right? What was it? Genuinely, I'm curious, because whatever it was, that is my goal for this conversation right here, and even this place as a whole. Okay, it's getting there. Because what I want is to create a community of us who are naturally drawn together with a shared interest of growing our creativity or expressing ourselves or celebrating the interests that we each have. And so for you and I right now, whatever it is that we're creating, I think that the first advice that I'm taking is defining the goal, because different goals would have drastically different approaches. Like if I were here just to make money, I would spend all of my focus on dialing in the perfect algorithmically written content. And then I would go off and I would find somebody cheap to make the video itself. Or if I wanted to show off my cinematography skills, I would go get better lights and better lenses. And it wouldn't be on this dinky little tripod that I've got right now. But my goal here for you is to feel connected and inspired. And then for me, I think it's really the same. And so because of that, this is what I'm telling myself right now. It's that I don't need unique and finalized lighting. I don't need a crisp 4K video or a refined charisma to do that. Would I like all of those things? Yeah, that would be pretty fun. But ultimately, it's not the goal. And okay, so back to you. In your creative endeavors, what hidden goals do you have that really aren't necessary? It could be that you're targeting the wrong audience, that you're caring more about the money, or you're just trying to appease the client if there is one, or you're focusing on getting it right on the first try. But maybe the goal should be just simply to make something that is cohesive enough to start iterating. And that brings me to the next point, iteration. Okay, still kind of hot. That's another big reason that I'm starting this conversation right now with what I have. It's the future purpose of this content is for people to engage with it. So I'm trying to foster a specific emotion or reaction amongst a specific audience. Hopefully that's you. And that's probably what most of us are trying to do in our own works, right? And yet my tendency is to just push that interaction point off until the very end. Like we delay showing it until it's just right. And I get it. Like we want to put our best foot forward. So for me, it's often that I want the experience of something to be so immersive and interconnected that then I need everything to be fully fleshed out. Like I want the user to get the whole kit and the whole caboodle. Am I saying that right? But you know what? I often get more helpful feedback and even more positive reviews when I include others in the process. Because if you find the right people, they'll tell you what you need to hear, or they'll tell you at least what they really think. Unless you live in Minnesota like me, in which case, best of luck on finding out what people think. But at least that's what we're doing here. You and I and anyone else who wants to join, we're making each other's ideas better, our habits better, our understandings of this weird and nebulous thing of creativity better. And for me, rather than wait until I'm a graduate of Perfectionists Anonymous, I can at least just start the conversation with what I know so far. And then after this, I'm not locking away the subject of perfection as if I've said everything right now that needs to be said in this discussion. I know I have lots to learn, particularly from you, which leads me to the last action, and that is fight perfectionism together. I hope I pointed at the right things. But regardless, this condition of the mind happens to exist in our own heads. So naturally, that would make it kind of hard for any one of us to get out of their own heads. And I certainly get locked in my own thoughts, working frantically on the unimportant details, or putting off final decision making as long as possible, or doubting something will ever work without actually really trying it. These kinds of thoughts that have a way of keeping our heads down and our backs hunched over, and we're shielding any prying eyes from around us. But even now, the more that I talk to you, the more that I process my own thoughts, because I'm a verbal processor, that alone is giving me a newer found clarity that I can already start to see applied in my next activity. So thank you for that. But you're probably going to hear me say this a lot, which is that I'm not coming to you as a guru. I'm not coming to you as someone who has it all together. I'm coming to you as a friend, a collaborator in our creative mission together. And good friends share ideas, they share feelings, they share thoughts and plans. And so I think there's so much more that we can both grow in, making sense of the world around us and whatever is going on inside of our own heads. And so my intention with this is that it isn't just another video to click on and then scrub through the headlines and then click whatever YouTube recommends next. It's an invitation to a discussion about what you're making and what is holding it back and how we can help each other. And in the future, I'd like to build a fancy website that you can submit your thoughts to, and we can kind of compile all of these ideas around a specific subject. And I wanted to have it all ready to go before this first talk, but I finally realized that an elegant website is not the goal. Community is. And if you're willing to comment on a website, you're probably willing to comment on this video. So here is the dialogue part. What are you making right now? And how does perfectionism tend to hold you back? Comment. I'd love to follow up with you and even start to incorporate you and your ideas into future videos. So stay in touch. Don't be a stranger. Subscribe. Let's just keep this conversation going. I'm so excited for what we get to talk about next.